Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome to round 10 of our F125 My Team Career Mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here, of course, at Silverstone for the British Grand Prix. Now, if you missed out on the video that went live yesterday from Austria, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. We tested out what it's like doing reverse circuit races inside F125. The answer was pretty crazy. We had a very, very good race, or very, very good two races out in Spielberg. We're going to be keeping that format this weekend as we return here back to our home GP. As you can see, Isaac Hadjar, he got a podium in the in the reverse grid race in that video, and then a P5 to back it up with in the real GP. The car just seemed to be very, very quick. For the first time ever, the team bagged a double points finish as well, which was absolutely fantastic to see. Sadly, Yuki Tsunoda couldn't quite deliver once again in the kind of normal Grand Prix with a P17. So we're going to be driving as Yuki, ready for this weekend's races. Of course, yeah, if you missed out, basically what we're doing is one-stop quali, 35% reverse race, and then one-stop quali, 35% normal race, and kind of combining the two into one this season. I will, towards the end of the year, kind of get you guys to vote on what format you'd like to see ready for Season 3. If we take a look at our World Championship, though, Lando Norris, 16 points now back behind George Russell, up at the top of the table. Charles Leclerc, with a big result, moves up into P3, just ahead of Max Verstappen. Isaac Hadjar in a comfortable P9. Yuki Tsunoda down in P13. I want to try and get both cars into the top 10 by the end of the season as well. If we have a look at the upgrades, as you can see, they're still pretty much tied with Alpine at the moment. We've got a lot of upgrades in the works right now, but we are slowly running out of upgrades left to do inside F125. I'm kind of hoping we get a huge rule change at the end of this season. Otherwise, we're going to end up with pretty much a maxed out car very, very soon. Get yourself subscribed if you're new. Also, if you want early access to all of these videos, make sure you click the join button. It costs just £1 a month. And yeah, without further ado then, let's return here to Silverstone.
Welcome along everybody to a venue that was built for speed. Once an airfield, now one of the finest racetracks in the world. It's qualifying day here at Silverstone for the British Grand Prix.
Well, to make life even more confusing then, inside this series this weekend at Silverstone, we're running the normal layout first. I assume it's so the game obviously can fit all of these reverse races onto the calendar, if that's what you want to do with them, because obviously after the British Grand Prix in a couple of weeks' time, we have then got a couple of break weeks, haven't we, I believe, before Hungary and Belgium before the summer break. But heading then out into qualifying, I've got no idea why, but the car feels very, very twitchy this weekend when it comes to the setup, so I'm not expecting to get a particularly good qualifying session under my belt. I have mainly focused on trying to make sure the car is ready for Sunday's race there, as I mean, down last at the moment. We know how good the AI are in the changeable conditions, but I mean, we're just losing time everywhere against George Russell up at the front of the order. Utterly ridiculous the amount of grip the AI have inside this game. Is trying to chuck the car through the old turn one there. Feel like I've done a pretty good job of that. But how far down are we going to be by the end of Sector 2? It's going to be about 3 seconds or so. Sort of a big snap of oversteer there as we try and navigate through Maggots and Beckett's. Oh, come on, try and get on that loud pedal yet again on the exit of the corner. We are 3.5 seconds down on George Russell then. Luckily, the Grand Prix isn't meant to be in wet conditions here, but I've never known a qualifying session like this. Oh, we have been so far down on the AI. Maybe it's the one shot as well that makes our life even more difficult, but navigating our way through the final corners, we have gained a couple of places then right towards the end of the lap, so Russell maybe has just nailed it. We won't end up last. It's 21st, however. Well, I reckon there's been some kind of glitch or bug or something, because that is a wildly spread out grid here at Silverstone. Mercedes have locked out the front row there, Russell ahead of Oscar Piastri. Verstappen will line up in P3, but I mean, Esteban Ocon in 8th is 2 seconds off of the pace here. I mean, there's 5 seconds separating the entire field. We've got a second slower than our teammate Isaac Hadjar, but Very, very weird qualifying. I wonder if the most recent patch to the game has slightly broken one shot, but let's get into the race nonetheless, I guess.
Welcome everyone as you join us at a former Second World War aircraft base, now converted into one of the great motor racing tracks. Britain is one of only 2 countries to have held a Grand Prix in every year of the Formula One World Championship, and long may that continue. This is Silverstone, and this is the British Grand Prix. Straddling the border of Northamptonshire and Buckinghamshire, the 18 corners of Silverstone Circuit form the 3.6-mile beating heart of Formula One. It's been reinvented over the years, with Turn 1 now the fast right-hander of Abbey, but the magic of racing is as strong here as it's ever been. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. What a qualifying yesterday for George Russell. He'll start today's race from pole position. And Oscar Piastri completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Norris, Carlos Sainz and Leclerc, Gasly, Ocon, Lawson and Alex Albon, Behrman, Antonelli, Franco Colapinto and Hadjar, Doohan, Aaron, Jack Crawford and Gabriel Bortoleto, Pepe Marti, Sonoda, Hulkenberg and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway.
Now I know this isn't where we wanted to start this race, but given we're back here at the back of the grid, it means there's an opportunity to move forward. I've seen you karting back in the day, let's go and do it again.
Well, a bit weird then. Clearly, Mark Priestley was out in Japan watching Yuki Tsunoda go-kart as a kid. Let's try and put that image out of our minds early on in this race then. But I think the one-stop, medium over to hards, is going to be the way to go here. The team adamant the softs are going to be a quicker tyre, but they just never really hold on around this circuit. Let's not forget as well, obviously, I just seem to get all my bad luck with Yuki Tsunoda inside this series right now. I desperately want to try and get him some good points on the board, but nothing seems to go our way inside this game as the 5 red lights are on. And it's going to be lights out, and oh wait, we go there. Feel like we actually reacted quite nicely in towards Turn 1, but of course being on the harder compounded tyre, well, isn't going to make our life any easier there as banging wheels with Pepe Marti through Turn 1. We'll try and have a look down the inside of Gabriel Bortoleto at Turn 3 there, so making a little bit of progress early on around the outside of Paul Aaron there. It gives me some room, and he probably didn't need to, but yeah, the car now feeling, like I said, I don't know whether it's some upgrades we put onto it or what's going on, but suddenly the front end of this thing seems really, really aggressive here. I'm going to try and be gentle with it through the early corners of this lap, but if Crawford's going to open the door, and I'm always going to try and have a look for it, but yeah, don't know what it is, whether it's just I've got used to kind of default cars on this game again or what, but rather peculiar, and especially the old Turn 1. This is where we're really struggling with kind of snap oversteer all weekend so far, but despite being on the harder tyre then, we've gained 4 places off the start of this one, and I mean, yeah, with fresh rubber it is gripping up rather nicely. Like I said, the goal today is to see if we can get some points, as immediately Crawford's going to try and have a look back around my outside. Surely not down here, Sonny Jim, and we will hang on. It's the only other problem that does also annoy me here at Silverstone. Looks like on F125 they've gone back to the old annoying glitch of the AI just have far too much straight line speed. I don't think the games calculate ERS correctly, and it basically just means that the AI have got effectively an unlimited charge down the straights, which is near impossible to keep up with. Around a circuit like Monaco, it doesn't really matter too much,
0.9 seconds.
because obviously there's just not really enough opportunities to use it. But here at Silverstone, where there are so many long straights, it just means the AI have a ridiculous advantage as Agile Nails moved past Antonelli.
Is dropping back by about 3/10 a lap. Well done.
I believe it's those Williams that are fighting for the final points paying position here, as Liam Lawson doing a great job in his Aston Martin, but hopefully Hadjar can bring us a bit closer to those Williams, because I'm hoping all of the soft compound runners' tyres are going to start to fall off. This is the best example. Look at this out here. Using battery, we're still dropping time to Doohan, and they can just do that everywhere around the lap. Trying to get a run then on Jack Doohan here, as I'm hoping now those soft compound runners are beginning to struggle. There is a big dive bomb coming down at the final couple of corners. One of the other things I wasn't expecting, tyre wear seems to be non-existent so far this race. Really, really weird. But only at 21% on the worst tyre after 6 laps here, so we could easily do this entire race on one set. Obviously, we can't do that. But it might be worth trying to stay out long and kind of hoping for a safety car or something later on in the race. Well, Team Modest in then at the end of this lap, but still Hajar, Antonelli and Behrman still fighting just in front of me here. Definitely when we go to the other layout, I think we're going to run slightly less downforce. As to the inside of Ollie Behrman will go. A very, very robust move there on the Alpine man, but still trying to make more progress later on in this stint, especially when the AI's tyres are starting to give up the ghost a little bit more. Isaac Hajar, Ollie Behrman, Kimi Antonelli even, they've just been trading places lap after lap after lap more recently, and well, it's been good to watch, but annoyingly, of course, it has meant the Williams have absolutely broken free just a little bit further on, especially, I would assume, Alex Albon, who is now launched up to the back of Liam Lawson as we get towards half distances again. Oh, Behrman thought about having a look down the inside. Dare I say it as well, Lance Stroll's actually doing very well here from the back of the field. He is carving his way back up through the order a lot quicker than we were really expecting. But we'll wait and see whether we can get a run on Hajar and Antonelli before they pit. We've got yellows. Who's that? I think it's a McLaren dropping to the wayside then in this GP. There's Ollie Behrman. Ooh, that's not good. Ollie Behrman there tried to commit down the inside, and I got a little bit scared then when he didn't back out of it. But Pierre Gasly going to be our first retirement of the day then, so very disappointing for the Frenchman. So another big snap of oversteer as we try to put the power down on the exit of the corner. Behrman this time around, nothing we can try and do to defend ourselves, and Lance Stroll as well, trying to have a look for it down in towards the final few corners. So we'll swoop around the outside of the Aston Martin. Both of them then will immediately peel into the pit lane. We're going to leave it at least one more lap. Like I said, if we get... Gasly's car's already been removed off the circuit, so we can't even rely on another breakdown. As we are going to be up, though, into, I believe, P2 of this race temporarily. Maybe I can hang on to Oscar Piastri's coattails. Well, we know just how powerful the undercut can be inside F125, so I think we're going to take the opportunity now to peel into the pit lane there, as Oscar Piastri will sail around the outside. A little way ahead of everybody else, but a long way back behind his teammate George Russell there, as slowing the car down into the pit lane. Just about get it slowed down on the marks then as we make our way in. I'm really not sure. I think, yeah, looking at it, Hajar's been screwed over through the pit lane as well, so disappointed to see that our teammates had a very, very slow stop here. But Colapinto actually running up inside your top 8. A few of the AI opting for the harder compounded tyre as well, including Max Verstappen.
Right, let's go.
But we are going to re-emerge then, I think just behind Antonelli. I'm hoping we're out ahead of Stroll and co, but I'm not holding my breath.
Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now.
Well, we haven't been undercut as badly as I were expecting us to. There's only Doohan will just get around me there, and Ollie Behrman still stuck behind us in this GP, but 7 laps remaining then. It's just such a shame that Hajar's been completely screwed. So, I mean, look at the amount of grip we've got straight to the inside. Oh, Jack Doohan there. I wasn't even trying to go for that one. Just kind of fell into place for us, as I'm sure. And by the time we get up towards the end of this straight, we should be able to get quite a nice tidy run on him. Dirty air though, again, really affecting us. So we make our way up in towards Maggots and Beckett. Which side will we go? Whoa! Badly pushing Jack Doohan along there, as he really tries to get the elbows out to hang on to that position in his Alpine. Again, he's going to have this DRS off a Lance Stroll, but we've got to try and go for it, especially whilst the grip is fresh on these tyres. To the inside again of Jack Doohan there, and I think he kind of knew that move was coming, because we will be back up into 13th. Right, come on then, let's see if we can get a run on Lance Stroll down this next straight. We've just got to try and capitalise wherever we can. Doing our best Sebastian Vettel tribute as we'll get the car wedged over the curbing. Down the inside we'll go there. The curbing actually kind of dragged us through the apex of the corner.
Great pass.
There's Mark there loving that one. And I mean, we've just got to try and keep breaking away. We know we've got so much grip through Maggots and Beckett's, but Albon, 7 seconds up the road. That is not going to be easy to close in by the end. We've just got no battery at the moment. Colapinto and Albon are still pulling away from me late on in the day as Lance Stroll, again, will make his way through. I mean, we've just got so much more speed through the corners, but nothing in a straight line here. I think any hope of points are pretty much out the door at this stage. Maybe Stroll, though, can close in a little bit more on Antonelli and help us both out. Well, you know there is something clearly fundamentally unbalanced inside the F1 games when Lance Stroll is having to drag you along towards the end of a GP, but even he hasn't had the pace to try and get up to Kimi Antonelli towards the end of this race.
Okay,
one more lap to go then.
Keep your concentration and let's bring it home.
And under increasing pressure from Ollie Behrman as well behind, who keeps trying to have a look for moves down at those first couple of corners. But George Russell and Mercedes, I think last weekend in the normal layout Grand Prix was probably a bit of an alarm bell for a lot of our front-running teams, because no one could get close to George Russell. And while this weekend, although Oscar Piastri has struggled towards the end, George Russell has absolutely dominated proceedings here, and he will again extend his lead in the World Championship ahead of those Ferraris and Max Verstappen. Russell will win here at Silverstone in a dominant display when all is said and done. Can he do the double this weekend? Only time will tell. Lance Stroll, though, still just in front of us. I want to try and get a run on him down in towards the final few corners here. I refuse to lose to Sir Lancelot, but whenever I say that, I normally then end up having a rather nasty crash, so hopefully that isn't going to happen now. Of course, as soon as I say it, the back end breaks free, and we did a pretty good job there to keep it out the wall, in all honesty, but trying to get back on the road. All of our hard work, I mean, we weren't going to score points anyway, it does make no difference in the grand scheme of things there, but all of my bad luck in this game seems to be with Yuki Tsunoda at the moment, and it is so frustrating. Lance will hang on for P12. We're going to follow Isaac Hadjar home in P16 and 17. Yeah, that one, just all weekend it's been odd.
Here's the checkered flag. Here's our winner. By George, he's done it. Russell wins.
And that's 2 wins in a row now. It's the start of potentially something special, but they can't get ahead of themselves just yet. It's a long way to go.
And once all the hard work is over, and after lap of brilliant racing, it's time now to celebrate with our podium trio. And taking his place on the top step of the podium, he gave it some hustle. Well done to George Russell.
Well, there we are then. George Russell will claim the victory here in our normal Grand Prix, just ahead of Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. So a British 1-2 to kickstart the weekend. Charles Leclerc narrowly misses out on a podium, just ahead of Sainz and both of your Red Bulls there, with Albon, Lawson and Colapinto inside your top 10. Disappointment for our team, of course, at our home race. Not able to get either car into the points, but we've got another opportunity this weekend to try and do that. Bortoletto and Doohan both finished 1 lap down. Pierre Gasly, who failed to see the checkered flag. What does that do to our championship? Well, it means Russell now has a 25-point buffer ahead of Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc. Oscar Piastri taking some points out of Verstappen as well in his, obviously, race season championship hopes. Like I said, we want to try and get Antonelli ahead, Tsunoda ahead of Antonelli and Lance Stroll in the World Championship, but now Antonelli, Tsunoda, Lawson and Colapinto all tied on points, so we need a big result in the second race of the weekend. Williams as well taking big points out of us in the Constructors, and Mercedes are closing in on Ferrari's gap rather rapidly as well. It was an interesting first race of the weekend. I'm hoping the second one can go a little bit better though, so let's head back into qualifying.
Welcome along everybody to a venue that was built for speed. Once an airfield, now one of the finest racetracks in the world. It's qualifying day here at Silverstone for the British Grand Prix.
Well, here we are then, ready for a reverse lap here of the Silverstone circuit, and well, it looks like the weather this weekend is switched from what we saw last time. Dry on Saturday, wet on Sunday for this alternate layout, so this is going to make the Grand Prix very, very interesting by the time we get there, but I'm just hoping this time around we can be a little bit stronger over one lap as well. I mean, this circuit, if you haven't watched my reverse track guides, it is pretty mental actually trying to get the lap hooked up around here. I mean, almost 210 miles an hour as we head in towards Beckett's and Maggots. We've only got a break for the first part, and then it's completely flat out through the rest of it. The old turn one as well should be flat out on this alternate layout, but really, really easy to kind of miss the breaking point there, miss the apex, sorry, I should say, as we just about did. But at the moment then, lap time actually looking alright at the moment as we throw the car into Luffield. A really, really good fun corner to try and get the car slowed down through, and then this corner, got to be so careful on the loud pedal as well on the exit, as we try and carry the speed up then in towards the final few turns. I would not complain about a top 10 qualifying position ready for this one. Flat out, obviously, through what is normally the exit of the loop, and then really just trying to manage the wheel spin through the second part there. Made a bit of a mistake, slapped the sausage curve as well. We've lost one more spot, we've lost another one as we make the run back round towards the start-finish line. They're completely flat out on the battery. P12, better than the other way round, I must admit, but gutted that I just made a little mistake towards the end. Well, clearly Ferrari then have put all their eggs in the reverse track basket this weekend, but Oscar Piastri will claim pole position ahead of Charles Leclerc there, Russell and Norris on the second row. But P12 for us, though, a little bit quicker than Isaac Hadjar, who are annoyingly down in P18. But Liam Lawson, he seems to be able to really maximise that Aston Martin at the moment. A lot closer to kind of our front eight, if you will, than anybody else. 18 more laps ahead of us, though. Wet conditions. This is going to be scary.
You join us in the United Kingdom today, or Great Britain as it's alternatively known. Well, it's certainly a great day today as we welcome you to one of the crown jewels of British sports, a track of speed, history and drama. It's Silverstone. It's the British Grand Prix. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Oscar Piastri lines up on pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Russell, Norris, Pierre Gasly and Sainz, Lawson, Albon, Behrman and Yuki Tsunoda, Stroll, Colapinto, Jack Doohan and Ocon, Antonelli, Pepe Marti, Max Verstappen and Isaac Hadjar, Crawford, Aaron, Bortoletto and Nico Hülkenberg rounds off the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today.
Well, here we are then, down on the grid. Yes, like we said, a very wet conditions race today. Has no idea what's going on with the predicted lap times there. I can only assume the rain's meant to get slightly better before it gets slightly worse, but that is rather peculiar to see inside F1 25. The full wets, though, they should be able to do this race no stop without any problems. And yeah, starting up inside the top 10, hopefully we can pick up Yuki Tsunoda a couple of extra points. The 5 red lights are on. And it's going to be lights out, and away we go then. They're trying to get onto a nice, clean, tidy getaway and hopefully get the jump on Behrman as we head in towards turn 1. Oh, actually barging my way past Liam Lawson and Alex Albon there. Kind of forgot where exactly I needed to brake, ready for that first corner. So I think lucky that we only got a warning for that one. But, you know, got to get the elbows out nice and early on in this race. They've got to try and make moves nice and early because it's going to be very difficult in these conditions, battling through the spray. One of the things I have noticed about this version of Silverstone, there aren't really many long braking zones. It's kind of really only down into Luffield, so there aren't going to be many opportunities to go for overtakes around this lap. So, yeah, see, a lot of it would normally be about the DRS and everything like that, but of course, these conditions, yeah, not a chance that we're going to get DRS out in today's GP there. It's just trying to throw the car through the old turn 1. super scary with the grass on the outside. It's all, we've already got a spinner. I think further back then, no idea what's happened to, I believe that's one of the Alpines then, that perhaps ran a little bit wide, but does get back on the road. And another disaster for Alpine here. I've got no idea whether that's Dewitt or Behrman. We've got yellows. Is that car behind, I think? Oh, it's a McLaren. Carlos Sainz then, after applying pressure to his teammate.
9.2 seconds.
And that's both McLarens then, with mechanical failures this weekend, so really not what they would have wanted. As Carlos Sainz pulls over to the inside of the circuit along the start-finish line, but yeah, we're not really quicker than Pierre Gasly at the moment. Mainly our battle just seems to be with Alex Albon, but like Liam Lawson even. But like I said though, you know, there's not really anywhere to overtake this way around, as VSC's now been enabled.
Virtual safety car is deployed. Okay, slow down. Your delta's negative, which means you're going too fast. Reduce your pace.
That really won't change much either, of course, in this race at the moment. But yeah, Gasly under a lot of pressure from his teammate now, probably going to be in no man's land towards the end of this race. But yeah, with nowhere really to go for moves, Liam Lawson is kind of a bit stuck behind me at the moment. I'm not going to complain though, because we're running up in P6. But I think it's definitely more that Pierre Gasly is struggling rather than we are setting some really quick lap times here, because Lawson and Alex Albon are just sticking to me like glue as we try and close in on the McLaren man. I mean, it's a good job this race is being ran in reverse.
Gap to the car ahead, 1.5 seconds.
Otherwise, to be fair, it has been really boring up to this point. We basically made the move on lap 1 and then nothing else has happened. Basically made the move at turn 1 and nothing else has happened to us anyway inside this race. But just not quite the line we needed there. Get back on the road. I've taken out the DRS sign. I accidentally blocked Lawson there as we try and get back on. And immediately just those few tenths we keep gaining on Gasly just evaporate once more. Well, wet Formula 1 races fall into one of two groups. They're either the race of the season or terrible. Unfortunately, this one has kind of fallen into the latter group, annoyingly. I will definitely have to give it another whirl, this circuit, in dry conditions. It is a bit of a shame that our first ever race here is wet. But with just one lap to go then, we are still just floating about 1.5 seconds behind Pierre Gasly here. It's a good job. We should be on for Yuki's best result of the year. Will be quite funny if both of our drivers' best results of the season come at the two reverse grid races that we've got on the calendar. We have got Zandvoort still coming up. That one I think is going to be fairly standard inside this game. Just very, very difficult to overtake as well at. But Oscar Piastri, though, with the front of the order. Mercedes, they've dominated both races this weekend, but it's been each of their drivers that has dominated them. So good points on the board for them in the Constructors' Championship. And for Oscar Piastri, who has had a fairly quiet start to the season, a really, really important victory as well today. Hasn't been bad by any stretch as well. We have got some back markers peeling into the pit lane with 1 lap to go, so not too sure what they hope to achieve with that. But yeah, it's a shame then this race isn't a couple of laps longer, because that could have at least made the strategy somewhat spicy as well. But Oscar Piastri, though, makes his way through the final couple of corners. He will win the inaugural reverse British Grand Prix here for Mercedes. Ferrari is going to come through for P2 once again then. So both podiums this weekend.
It might be worth considering changing yours too.
I don't think it will be.
2.1 seconds.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. But yeah, it's going to be Mercedes, Ferrari, Mercedes, the podium for both races this weekend. But as we slide our way through the final corner, at least this result is going to be a bit of redemption after a tough race yesterday. In towards the final turn, it's going to be Yuki's best result of the year, P6 at Silverstone.
To the car ahead.
Oscar Piastri, take a bow. What a performance, what a win.
To do it as a team on home soil, that really means something special, and you can see how much it means to them, the drivers involved as well. Great job by them today, of course, as always, but for the fans watching on too, a great display of teamwork here today.
We had drama from start to finish, but in the end, there was only ever one that could take that top spot. They give out trophies for the winners. Today, they're Oscars. your winner today, Oscar Piastri.
Well, there we are then. Oscar Piastri will dominate today's race here at Silverstone. 11 seconds clear of Charles Leclerc, who will finish in P2. Russell just ahead of Norris, so will continue to stretch out his World Championship lead. But I guess that kind of goes to show just how difficult it was to overtake here. Your top 5 all finishing exactly where they started. We made up good progress at the start. We made up 3 places by turn 1, then Carlos Sainz broke down, and that was it. Liam Lawson, Alex Albon, Ocon and Stroll will round out your point scorers when all is said and done. Verstappen, I mean, he could not make any progress there, even with a switch right towards the end of the GP as well. Isaac Hadjar down in P13, a little bit disappointing for him. And yeah, it was just Sainz that failed to see the checkered flag. What does that do to our World Championship? Well, it now means, yeah, Russell 28 clear of Lando Norris, as Leclerc once again will close in on his teammate. Verstappen now just 12 points ahead of Oscar Piastri, with Gasly, Ocon, Sainz, Hadjar and Albon still inside your top 10. Yuki Tsunoda, though, will jump past Liam Lawson, Lance Stroll and Andrea Kimi Antonelli, and is still 20 points back from being inside that top 10 overall as well in the World Championship. Constructors-wise, we've still got a healthy buffer ahead of Williams and Aston Martin. Ferrari, though, just 17 clear of Mercedes as we cross over the halfway stage of the season. Thank you all so much for watching. Like I said, a bit of a shame that this race was quite boring in the end, but hopefully if we do throw this race back in next season, we'll get a dry one and we can actually make some moves. That's going to do us for this one though, and we'll be back very soon, ready for, I believe, the Hungarian Grand Prix.